Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready. Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the BMU Network. Thank you for joining us this evening on this week 9, certainly of the NFL season. We're certainly getting into November, and I don't know about you guys where you're living. It was 80 degrees up where I'm at, and I'm in New Jersey, so certainly just call it Indian summer or whatnot. But again, good to have you guys with us on the show. I'm joined by my partner as always. The coach is in the house. Shout out to the 7B Network. And, so all the brothers who support the follicle-free lifestyle. Our brother Dante, he's got the night off tonight, but man's got to put in that work. And hopefully Sean will be joining us shortly. But it's good to be with you guys on this day. So Coach, what's going on with you? How you doing, sir?
How you doing, Brother Ben? How you doing, man?
I am doing well. We were just together not too long ago. I'm gonna show the slide in a minute. If you could just put that, gonna put that down for now. We'll share the rankings in a minute. But yeah, not too long ago. Shout out to Brother Hank and certainly the things that he did. We did a mid-season NFL review on his show on Monday, and so that was a good time. Chatting it up there about the. No, it was yesterday, wasn't it? It was yesterday. Yeah. So chatting it up with his crew, and once again, we're going to be talking about some of that again. Kansas City again, once again, is undefeated, and so they're just doing their thing in KC. So we'll see how that breaks. But certainly, as you come in tonight, as you can see scrolling at the bottom of our screens, you see our Cash Apps. We appreciate anything that you offer us through your Cash Apps, but most importantly, consider dropping a Cash App or a Super Chat to the BMU Network. BMU Network gives you content 7 days a week in these places. You find pretty much a show for any topic that you can think of. And, so certainly we want to help to grow the network as well. So, again, consider dropping a contribution to the BMU Network and support. Just make sure as you come in, hit the like button, certainly as you come in. Certainly helps our algorithm here. And also go visit our man, Coach. Now, Coach, I know you do that streaming also. So, again, I know he oftentimes simulcasts, his stream also. So go over to Coach Fergs. You want to drop your link? What's your YouTube handle? Where can they find you?
Oh yeah, they can just find me at Trey Ferg at the Player Coach.
Trey Ferg, the Player Coach. Absolutely. Yep. So go over there and certainly hit the subscribe button for him and hit his like button. Certainly helps him out there again. And certainly we have in the back as always 183307. Again, thank you so much for everything that you and the ladies. I got to give credit to the ladies of the network. For whether it be 183307, could tell you all these ladies who certainly help us. Certainly with these streams, who manage to chat for us and whatnot. So we couldn't do a lot of this without you. Braxton, the Snake Fiend, again, appreciate you being with us and all our shows that we're on. Really appreciate your contributions as well. So, and it's certainly good to have you guys with here tonight, and certainly we'll welcome those as they come in. But yeah, I want to start off a little forward. So obviously with all the things that have been happening in the nation and whatnot, sometimes sports gets put on the back burner. So certainly want to bring some of that up again. And what I found interesting was, if you look at the college landscape at this time, we're starting to see some shifts and some rumblings in the rankings. So if BMU, if you're back there, I think now you can share that slide. Just want to kind of let people know as far as where we are with, with the scene right now as far as the rankings. And what I really want to talk about is Colorado. I know going into the season, it's like it was just not too long ago, most of us were talking about that maybe they might get to like a 500 season, like a 5-win season would be a good. But I think there's one person on this that actually I think shot higher for them. So I think it was you, Coach, who I believe said that you expected certainly a higher win total than I think a lot of us on the panel, certainly Sean and Dante. We were, you got a few wins last year, get a couple more this year, but I think you kind of, shot the sky a little bit for those guys. And it seemed like you're being proven right. So, I mean, they definitely It could be certainly the turn. They had a massive turnover from last year's roster, but you got Warren Sapp coaching the defensive line, so I think they gets added some valuable additions as far as the coaching staff. And it just looks like that these guys are really up there. And just looking at the latest ranking. So again, I don't have the ability right now to share it. So again, if someone's in the back, if you can just put those rankings up, and I can, we can talk about that a little bit in terms of where everybody is. But if not, I'll just talk through it until someone comes back. But right now, there we go. So if you look at the rankings right now, obviously Oregon, both in the college playoff rank as far as the AP 25, they're certainly number one. And they're certainly one of the few undefeated teams left. Certainly Ohio State and Georgia, they flipped those. Miami is actually, certainly moved up dramatically. Texas in the mix. So some of the players, interesting enough, Alabama is still, even with their 2 losses, AP still has them in the top 25. It's like they just won't let those guys go. They just can't have a college poll without Alabama being ranked in the top 25. And, so those guys have certainly maintained they're certainly they're not even in the top 17, certainly on the college football scene. But again, as it gets towards the end of the year, obviously you're going to have the conference championships coming up. So we may see Alabama again. I'm just looking for that time when they're out of the top 25. But they're certainly going to be relevant still. But what I noticed was, again, both polls, and on the the college football poll, they got Colorado ranked at 20th at this point, at 6-2. And they're ranked 21st in the AP poll. And if you look at just their schedule coming up, not a lot of serious competition. None of these teams are ranked in the top, not even the top 25, and very winnable games. So, they can easily get to a 10-2 record overall. And then you're going to have the conference championships coming up. So there's a possibility that they could get into the dance. And what kind of achievement would that be if Prime, in his second year, gets his team into the college playoff? Definitely it's possible. What do you think, Trey, just looking at this schedule and looking at who they could be potentially playing in the I think they're still in the Big 12 conference. What do you think of their prospects of making the dance? But that would be quite the feat, not to mention that you have the 2 leading Heisman candidates on the same team. Shador and Travis. So you'll have that drama. So again, I think a lot of eyeballs will certainly be on them if they can make a name for themselves in the playoffs. So how do you see this playing out, Trey?
I'm not surprised by their record so far. I thought at least 7-1, but again, it's unique. Their style of play. It seems as if the team is gaining more confidence because they're gelling more together. You can clearly see Shador's talents and Travis's talents. You can surely, it's just like they're a step above everybody else. But on these remaining 4 games, the team that scares me the most is Utah. Utah is a, top 20, 25 team.
Not on this AP, not according to the AP. I didn't see
this season. They dropped down,
right.
But they hang around that top 30. They in there, and I think they're gonna give Colorado a run for their money. But if Colorado, again, if they remain on task like they're doing now, I can see them winning out. Into the season with 2 losses. Not sure what bowl, but. This is clearly a display of the 2 best players in college football right now. I know there's a running back of Boise State.
Yeah.
But when you see what Travis is doing, hasn't been done since who? I don't know. Damn near. Who was that? Charles Woodson almost.
Yeah, well, again, and he wasn't on, and I know he did kickoff and punt returns as well as play defensive back. But I don't know if he was like a regular, like wide receiver, play on every down. I don't think he was an every down player on the offensive side of the ball. I was trying to think about that also. So I knew Prime, obviously, he ran kickoff, punt returns, as well as who is that?
Jabril Peppers or something. I remember him going sort of like a 2-way. Maybe
right.
I'm getting mixed up.
But not to this degree. Like I said, those guys I've seen run kickoff and punt returns. but I've never seen a guy who, again, you're talking about 80 snaps a game or up potentially up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's
So,
the
I mean,
unique thing about it, though. He's playing defensive back and wide receiver.
yeah.
Only thing he's doing on the field is running.
Yeah.
He's running
Yeah.
95% of the time.
Yeah.
And to
And
be
from what
able
I'm
to
hearing,
have
his
that,
work ethic is off the chain. It's like,
yeah,
it's
it's
ridiculous. The
smart.
guy's,
His
yeah.
football smarts is, LeBron Jordan level and Kobe as far as basketball.
Yeah.
He's able to anticipate very well. And he's usually in the right place at the right time. He has great hands. So whatever he does in the NFL, he's going to be. I believe he's going to be good. They're going to give him a little bit more muscle, and looks like Shador could be going back down south to his birth neighborhood, his early childhood, and hanging out there for a few years just to see how it works out. But yeah, I'm happy for both of them, man. This doesn't get any better in college football as far as two players on the same team in this day and age, and both of them are playing at a high level. So salute to them, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brother Shawnee, again, how you doing, sir? Welcome to the show.
What's going on, fellas?
We're doing all right, and but I'm seeing here. So again, the college football doesn't even have Alabama in the top 25, according to this poll. But the AP, for whatever reason, so I don't know if Alabama, if they called it. I'm sorry, they ranked 11th. So again, they're right there, still that rank. I don't know if they should be ranked that high. But again, it's going to be hard. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. They can get to 4 losses and they'll still be in in one of these top 25 polls. But it's almost like they can't go on without having given Alabama every opportunity, even in the post-Saban era, to get into this. I think if they can work it, I think they will. Because again, I need to take a look at what their strength of schedule is coming up the last few games. And again, they're going to have their obviously they're going to have their SEC conference playoff, and so again, all bets are off. But they could be the worst team to kind of make that dance. But I just got a feeling that it's like Jason or Freddie or whatever. They just won't die. They'll just keep coming back until they get it. So what's your view on that, sir? And then also, what's your view, Shawnee, on again the prospects? So again, we got Colorado kind of hanging around top 20 in the college poll and 21 in the AP. Their strength of schedule is pretty reasonable. I mean, I know Trey talked about Utah potentially being a challenge to them, but certainly a very doable schedule the rest of their way out. So the question is, do you think that they can actually make a case to get into this top 12? Especially, I mean, I think if they win their conference championship, I think they're a lock. But what do you think of the prospects of them getting into this dance?
Well, as far as Colorado, yeah, their only way into the top 12 is we think potentially beating. Are they beat? I'm trying to see. I gotta see exactly how the Big 12 is split up now. As far as the North and the South or whatever they had before, because I would think they'll meet potentially BYU in the Big 12 title game, but I think they're on the same side, so I don't know if that'll be possible. They have to, you know, I gotta look at that again, but that'd be their only way in to the top 12 for the playoffs. Their strength of schedule right now, they had a chance versus Utah because Utah was ranked like in the top 12 towards earlier in the season. And then, as you can see, they just kept falling off. Now they unranked. Them and Oklahoma State, who are normally a top 15 squad, that's going to hurt Colorado. In the beginning of Colorado's run, Utah was ranked, I think, number 11. And Oklahoma State, they just getting blown up by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So their last 4 games, it depends. It depends on what the teams above them do. That's one thing this year. Because of this whole playoff system they have, you see a whole lot more games that you normally didn't see. I think for the first time in over 20 years or something, we had like a game with the top 5 versus each other. That Alabama Georgia game, they didn't do that. Matter of fact, them two teams avoided each other for the most part until the SEC title game. So now with this playoff system, you're getting more of those games now.
Mhm.
Unfortunately for Colorado, they just don't have any more of them games left. So their only way in is via the Big 12 title game. I just got to see who exactly potentially, because they don't play BYU anywhere in the regular season. So
Right.
if BYU continues to be, I believe they undefeated, then Colorado may not have a chance to get in there. But I was listening to y'all talking about the rankings, and because this whole top 12 playoff system they have is new, is brand new. One thing I did notice when it came out yesterday about the seedings, the rankings and the playoff seedings, they do not match. And so basically, a Big 12, because right now BYU is ranked number 9,
Mhm.
but currently they are the 4th seed in the playoffs, meaning they get a first round bye. They are above Alabama. They're above Texas. Basically, right, if the playoffs started right now, the winner of Boise State and Ohio State would have to go to BYU
Right.
and play because they had a first round bye. So a lot of the teams, I believe Miami currently is ranked number 4,
Correct.
but they're the 3rd seed in the playoff system. So
Right.
it's that whole the Power 4, and if you win your conference, you automatically get a bye. So it's kind of weird. So it's definitely the top 12 teams that are ranked top 12. They're going to be in the playoffs,
Right.
but it depends amongst their respective conference where they're at will determine their seeding. So it's kind of weird and different, and stuff like that. I thought Notre Dame was still independent. I don't know if they officially joined ACC yet or not, because right now Miami is the number 1 seed in the ACC, but I think the number 2 seed is SMU. They're the new kid on the block, but they are in the ACC. Now, in basketball, Notre Dame is an ACC squad, but I think in football, they're still independent. So it's kind of weird kind of seeing
Yeah. No,
them.
they're definitely. Believe are they in the ACC yet? I don't think so. I think you're. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
still independent, and I
yeah,
think it
okay.
might be like in the following year that they'll be going to the ACC. Yeah, I think you are correct.
Okay, yeah. So they currently are the 10th seed in the playoffs. Then you got Indiana, and a lot of people believe that they've been getting kind of disrespected because Indiana is undefeated. Meanwhile, Penn State has a loss, but Penn State is ranked higher than Indiana. I know people say like they strength the schedule, but Indiana literally been winning all their games by double digits,
Right.
and then they in the same conference. And I was listening to Booker McFarland earlier today, and he brought up a very good point. These conferences now, it's Big 10 or it's Big 12. That's not they getting so massive now. I believe the SEC has what 16 teams in it now,
Well, yeah, and they break it out, right? It's like a West, East,
and
and a
but
West,
they
or
don't
like
play. They
yeah.
don't all play each other.
Correct.
So in
Yeah.
this case, with Indiana ranked below Penn State, but Indiana is undefeated and Penn State has a loss, you really can't use the strength of schedule because, like, even though we're in the same conference, because there's so much members in that conference now, especially with the addition of these West Coast schools, we're not going to play each other.
Right.
So it's like, what metrics are you going to use we undefeated and we in the same conference, so why we rank lower than them? So
Right.
there's a
But at the
whole
same
lot
time,
going
you look
on.
at the schedule, though. I mean, there's really nobody here in the top. No one here really in the top 25 on the schedule. I mean, it's been pretty weak. Michigan
Yeah,
State.
but normally, and you could have got away with that because you in the Big Ten, and eventually you're gonna see the Ohio States, the Michigans, and But now because it's like they getting punished because they keep adding more schools into their conference. Like we can't, we can only play who we got on the schedule, and we blowing them out.
Right. But the only guys on the schedule, I mean, they got November 23rd is Ohio State. I mean, Michigan, they're not. I don't think Michigan's top 25 at this point.
Yeah, Michigan,
and Purdue to wrap up the year. So really, their only stage to really make a case is that Ohio State game. But if you look at their first really 8 until they Washington a couple weeks ago, and was like really the only notable. And like I said, they beat Michigan State. So you got to show me. Again, I'm kind of old school with that. I mean, you got to show me a little something that you can at least hang with. And again, I doubt if any of these teams were ever ranked in the top 20. Leading up to that, so I think they're one of those teams on the come up. That used to take you a few years of sustained undefeated seasons or top 10+ win seasons before they would even look at you. They in Indiana, they haven't been relevant as a football power. I go back to the 80s. Yeah, I go back to the 80s, Fighting Illini and all that. I was in Illinois, but Indiana, you heard Indiana Hoosiers basketball, but never the football team. That was never. I don't know anyone's been drafted from there, from the NFL. I don't know any of the players. I don't know anybody. So it's a good audition, but I think for a lot of these teams, again, you got to look forward to the next season. Play your way into the rankings. Like first stage, get into the top 25. Second stage, get into the make a conversation for the top 12, and then you can sort of take it from there. But it's like I still think that's still the path that a lot of these teams have to be on, regardless of the system. So we're coming out of BCS, we're coming out of the AP. Before then, it was like the AP rankings that determined it. Then it got to the BCS, and all those things. Now we got the college playoff. I still think the formula is still the same. You have to build yourself up, and you have to have a sustained level in order to be taken seriously. And like I said, now some of these teams, I think, because of their reputation, they're in there for the reputation only. I don't think that they're dominant.
But Indiana, you can look at it like, who was that last year? Cincinnati, somebody who had a great record, and sort of got shunned at the end. I think if. I don't. Does anybody have a top 25 team? Indiana have a top 25 team left? Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah.
If they get Ohio State and run the table, then you have to consider them because they're undefeated, and it's a good time in the season to beat a team like Ohio State.
Right.
So I think they'll have to be in. I don't know if they'll go into the bye. But they'll have to be in the top 6 at least.
Right.
Alabama, you're talking perennial top 300 players all year. If two loss season is a letdown for Alabama, but for most teams it's a win.
And you got to also ask yourself let's say even if Indiana plays them tight.
First season without Saban, you can expect that. It's a different philosophy, different mindset in close games and play calling, but it's interesting, like I said, football looks good in the warm weather. Warm weather. Now we're coming into the real fall time of football. So all you fans, don't be mad when the weather is too cold for your favorite player. So this is when the real football players show up right here. So we'll see.
I want to bring up this scenario real quick to y'all because I was thinking about it earlier. So this is the first. I know we've been able to see the rankings all season, but this is the first playoff rankings. That they came out with, even when they only had the 4 teams. Usually that first one, everybody up in arms about this team should be in the top 4, and now it's the top 12. Well, the way this season been going, you pretty much can bank one of those 12 teams are going to suffer a loss. But they just losing. I mean, I don't think anybody saw Alabama losing to Vanderbilt, even though Vandy has been playing pretty good this year. So,
but you can't lose to me. You can't lose to a team like that and still be ranked in
well,
potentially. Losing to Georgia is one thing. You can't lose to nobody expected that was like the 5th game of the season where they weren't even registering at all. And I just think that it's hard to make a case for yourself if you lose to that team. Yeah, losing to the Ohios or you're losing to a rival or something like that, but that's not even a rival.
But this game, it's a strong possibility it can happen if Georgia, because currently Georgia has one loss,
Mhm.
Alabama has two losses, Ole Miss has two losses, and Ole Miss they lost one to LSU in overtime by 3 points, then they lost the other game I think to Kentucky by 3 points, so they had close losses themselves. Georgia is playing at Ole Miss this weekend, number 3 versus number 16, 15 or
Yeah.
16.
Mhm.
If Georgia loses, which is a great possibility, especially if you playing the Ole Miss, and they have the offense that can give them fits. If they lose this game, Georgia can literally be on the outside of the tournament because you're not gonna. If Georgia loses this game, Mr. Bennett, you was talking about how basically favoritism is shown to Alabama.
Mhm.
If Georgia loses this game, 100% without a doubt, you can say favoritism is the reason if they still be in the top 12. Because we're going to see how much the committee puts weight on the head-to-head. Because you remember last year, that whole thing with determining the 14 between Texas,
Texas, right? Yeah,
Alabama,
yeah.
and Georgia, and then head-to-head. Eventually, they did that. Well,
Yeah.
this time, it's going to be twice. Like I say, Alabama, if they go on, they only finish with 2 losses. And if Ole Miss beats Georgia, they only have 2 losses. So Georgia will have the loss to head to Alabama, and then they'll lose their head to Ole Miss. So it's no reason we should see you anywhere above them 2 teams right now. Because
Mhm.
y'all all have 3 losses, and you lost the head to both of these schools. Now, there's going to be people out there that's going to have this mindset. Clearly, Georgia is one of the top 12 teams in the country. That may be valid, but how are you going to put them in there unless you're going to give them favoritism, strong favoritism, because you're going to have 2 accounts of head to head that they lost to.
Right.
And now you're going to put them, you're going to squeeze a 3-loss team in there when everybody who's in the top 12 currently is either 2 losses or 1 losses or hell, even undefeated.
Or undefeated, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because this is a game that they have. I don't know the odds, but I'm not a betting man. But the Rebels have a good chance of winning this game, especially since they playing at home. So if they lose this game and everything kind of falls into place with the teams above them, all hell gonna break loose. Because I don't think currently Ole Miss is not in the Big 12 in the top 12. I think if they win this game, they will. But I'm going to be interested to see what happens to Georgia. Because I'll say, if y'all put them in the top 12, I know for sure that favoritism is playing this role.
Well, the spread is only 2.5. So you're talking about competitive.
2.5 for Georgia or Ole Miss?
Correct. Yeah, minus 2.5. So
okay. So even they say it's going to be a competitive game.
Yeah. So that'll definitely be interesting. But I'm definitely wanting to see if Colorado, if they obviously they got to win out, and then we see what happens from there. But that'll be certainly a heck of a lot of excitement to have not only Prime, if he can get to a college playoff with the two Heisman candidates in the same game. That would be phenomenal for I think you may see some of the highest ratings. I know Alabama, I know a lot of these national teams, they have their fan bases and whatnot, but I think for the Gen Pop fan, I think that would garner a lot of attention. Yeah, I don't think you've really seen that. I'm trying to remember the last time when you had either prospects that were coming out that everybody was like must watch. Honestly, the last guy I remember that people watching, he wasn't even a major guy, was so Coach, you remember Steve McNair at Alcorn State? I remember he was almost like LeBron James. When LeBron James was playing high school football, that's the way they covered Steve McNair. Because again, Alcorn didn't get any TV coverage, but again, because he was the leading Heisman candidate, they showed him almost every week. And so, but I'm trying to remember in the last few years a matchup. The only thing I could think of is Alabama when against Clemson. So I know that one year you had the Cleveland quarterback, Deshaun Watson. They went head to head a couple times, and then after that you had Trevor Lawrence. Certainly those were kind of high end games. With those players. But you get Prime in there with those athletes, that will definitely be must watch TV. So
you talking about Dion going to a team like no? Dion look like he might be down in old D town next year.
So that's the,
he don't want to do that. He said he don't want to do the NFL.
They call him with enough
if
money.
they roll out
Jerry,
the red carpet, you know,
he'll go.
right.
Well,
But
I know we were talking about Colorado. I forgot. Iowa State is in the middle of them. So Colorado's chance to getting in the playoffs. Like I said, I think their only way is if through the Big 12 title game if they can get there. But BYU undefeated and Iowa State only has one loss, so both of them are over Colorado. But even if Colorado doesn't make the playoff, they should if they continue to win. I believe they should get one of those big money bowl games. We're not talking about this Armed Forces Bowl they have here in TCU or something like that.
right.
I'm talking about, it's like,
Rose.
well, all of those are
Sugar Fiesta.
all of those are going to be committed to the playoffs, so they won't be in that one. But the next, like the Holiday Bowl or
what about the Cotton?
Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Peach Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, and damn it, there's one more. It's either 5 or 6. Those are committed to the playoffs,
right?
So they won't be going to that one.
Gator Bowl, I don't think is in that mix also, but
Orange Bowl.
Orange Bowl. That's the 6th.
Yes, yeah. But Gator Bowl, that would be I don't know.
So
Gator Bowl
if they don't get in the playoffs,
yeah.
They gonna get in one of them big money bowls.
Right. But that would be a heck of a certainly helping them for recruiting for next year. Should he decide to stay, that will be tremendous for them. So
I think if he get one of them big bowls, I think he will. Because now I don't know why will he leave, because he's at a prime school now. He's winning. They're gonna get recruits if they make it to these big bowl games. I just find it, it's just last year they got all the attention, but all that attention turned against them because they were doing a lot of losing.
Right.
This year, they're getting attention, but it's nothing like on the level last year.
Yeah.
And they just doing their thing. You're not really hearing anything from Colorado.
Right.
They just going out there and winning. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that now I can see why. I don't want to say they focused. That was off focus last year. I just think the media just got caught up.
Well, that and even then, they're starting to win like comfortably now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like last year, all those games were either shootouts or they got blown out. But
almost beat number 18 Kansas State at one time.
Yeah. So
but also, you got to think when you got new head coach, new quarterback, a whole team that's sort of really revamped. You can expect a season like you saw. But I think Dion is smart enough to understand that he needs others to help him reach the level that he's trying to obtain. He's a great motivator. I've seen him giving some techniques on playing defensive back, but that's as far as he's going to be able to take you. He ain't going to be able to take you how to tackle. He ain't going to be able to tell you how to throw the ball. I think having Shedeur there just makes it a lot easier for him as a coach, because we can clearly see Shedeur is one of the top 2 quarterbacks in college football. Just the way he throws the ball, his touch is almost perfect. Receivers always got opportunity to catch the ball. So, I was looking at his NIL. His NIL is over, $6 million. So, he could come back, but if he wins out, I see him being number 1 pick overall, and it'll be 4 or 5 teams trying to get him. I think teams who may be drafted in 7th, 8th will try to move up just to get him, but he can't go to Carolina. He gets hit enough. So.
That'd be worse. Well, I don't think Prime would be like, nah, we ain't going there.
Well,
I remember when he came out, it's like, why y'all even calling? Y'all don't even need to be calling us because we ain't even talking to you. That was his attitude at Florida State.
I don't think he'll want any of his players going to Carolina.
That's right. Yeah, that's just way too much dysfunction down there. But we can certainly switch to the NFL. So again, we had a very interesting Week 9, and we can lead off with again the Cowboys as certainly the moniker of our show. Yet another loss. Now I wouldn't pin this so much because again Atlanta. Certainly they are on the rise. They're 6-3. Obviously, they're in first place in the NFC South. So, Kirk Cousins has been quietly going about his business, and certainly they've been getting it done. But you see Dak on the sidelines, mouthing words, we suck. and whatnot. So again, is it time for fire sale? Since Sean is here, one, is it time for fire sale? And will McCarthy survive the season?
Well, being here in the DFW area, when the news came out the Cowboys traded for Mingo, folks was pissed off. They was like, we should be sellers, not buyers. And I don't know what this. You really don't know what Mingo could do. This is his second year in the league, and he only had bad quarterback play since he's been in the league. So we don't really know. And you gave him a fourth rounder for him. So they should have been sellers. I was always in a mind frame. Well, now I'm in a mind frame is you need to trade like Micah Parsons. I was like, if after the Green Bay lost last year, I was like, okay, I already know how y'all gonna go into the offseason because I know y'all don't participate in free agency. You put all your eggs in the basket of drafting, and you act like you hit on a perennial Pro Bowl every year when they don't. So it's like, okay, what do you? If that's the only way you're gonna really build this team, and after last year, I say you should have traded Dak, you should have traded Lamb, and you trade Parsons. You can get Dak was going to get his money regardless. So it's not even about the money with Dak. Somebody's going to pay him that $60 million. But because of that, you knew his value was high, especially after the season he had last year. Forget the playoff game. He was an MVP candidate.
Yes.
So okay, he had a high value. If trade him all three, and you would have got multiple first and second round picks for him. Because it's not like these players are bad. It's just you literally only put yourself the way you build this team is literally only one fashion. You do not participate in free agency, so we can't expect you to go. If the Cowboys during them 3 straight 12-win seasons, you can see okay there was a hole right there, but you don't fill it. You try to go draft, and these draft picks are not. They wasted 3 draft picks, if I can remember, on a defensive tackle. They're not cutting it. And since you don't want to do a free agency, okay, now what we gonna do? So if you you already signed Dak and Lamb. They are going next year alone. Them 2 players are going to take up 46% of your cap.
Yep.
This is them 2. Now we're not even going to get to the money Micah Parsons is expecting to get in next offseason. And then you really going to be strapped for cash. You're really not going to be active in free agency. So what's the point of re-signing Parsons if you're going to be losing? So I'm like, you need to trade him because that's the boat that y'all built. This is the only way y'all believe on building your squad.
Right.
So I believe they should have been sellers. It's clearly the Commanders because of the Commanders reminded me so much of the Texans right now. Because the Commanders were just sellers in the NFC East, but more than that, they had a bad vibe in that organization with Snyder. Once he left, then immediately you saw seeing improvement. The Texans, before C.J. Stroud, the season right before he got there, had a bad vibe in the organization. And then once this particular individual left the organization, all of a sudden here comes Stroud. Immediately he started, they started
but
having
McNair
success.
still owns the team, right? I think his name is McNair, who owns
the son.
Okay.
But it really wasn't McNair. It was another dude. It was another dude who had McNair's ear.
Mm-hmm.
And then his wife, McNair's wife, helped. Hey man, we need to get rid of this guy. She was one of the main pieces to get rid of this dude. And that's when stuff started to improve.
Gotcha.
But the way Jaden Daniels is doing it with the Commanders, and you say now you're looking at the head coach name.
What, McCarthy?
Commanders.
Oh,
Commanders.
Jeez, I didn't even say it.
Because of the he just left the Cowboys, and all of a sudden, he goes to he said, "Let me get out this Cowboys," and now he's leading his team because he was always Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. Yeah.
I thought he was always a good coach. Everybody just hold that Atlanta Super Bowl, but he's still a decent coach. I think McCarthy is a good coach, but he's kind of outdated. So I think the Cowboys set him up for failure.
Right.
as
Well,
a
speaking again, bad news getting worse. Again, here for Dak, it says his hammies torn off the bone.
Damn.
So that could be he
Out
may
for the
be
season.
done for the season. Yeah. So you're gonna go to your guy. It's not Trey Lance is I think your third string, right? Who's the
Yeah. Trey. Now she lost in translation. He mentioned Trey Lance. Yeah. Trey Lance is not that guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember that playoff game. He had 5 interceptions. Trey Lance is athletic, but like the main thing that he lacks, what is a vital to a QB, is decision making,
Right.
and his ability to read the defense. And
Right. So it's gonna be Cooper Rush pretty much the rest of the way
yeah,
for you guys for sure.
and that's why we don't understand the trade. So I'm like, okay, you traded this receiver for Cooper Rush, so I don't know. It's the Cowboys. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's gonna be on Cooper Rush.
Yeah, there you go.
Translation mentioned he was 5-1 as a starter last
In
time.
Cooper we trust. I remember the chance last year.
He has some sort of a running game.
Right.
He don't have a running game right now. You thought Dak was gonna, at least Dak was mobile. You
Right.
thought Dak struggled without a running game. Yeah, Cooper Rush.
So you think he's kind of got some of that Fitzpatrick vibe. He'll give you a spark here and there.
Well,
but
the backup quarterback is always
he's not your long-term solution though.
Yeah, no, he's a backup quarterback. He's a reason he's a backup quarterback. And now
Yeah.
it's going to really be
Well,
bad.
again, to the point, shout out to Lou Medic in the chat tonight. So again, Shador next year. So again, tank the season now. Now again, who's going to want to pick up that contract though? So so your quarterback is injured again, a major injury. So the year before, a couple years ago, broke his ankle. Had a decent season last year. Now he's got a hammy ripped off the bone. So that's going to be like a year's recovery to get that done. You got a $60+ million contract. How can they get rid of him?
Yeah, I don't
So
think
that's
going to
be, that's you're gonna have to eat that, or if you do unload him to somebody, you're gonna have to eat some of that contract for sure because he is. Yeah, and he has no trade clause on top of that. So
Dak,
y'all gonna have to eat that.
Agent worked that, yeah. Him and his agent worked that masterfully.
Y'all gonna eat that, man.
But yeah, they're not gonna get Shador because you don't dedicate that much money to a quarterback, and then you have all these holes that you need to fill, and then you're gonna use it on a player that's just gonna be sitting on the bench.
Right.
So yeah.
It'll be interesting, but from what you're saying, it doesn't seem like they're giving any indication that they're going to tank the season. So, but they should.
They say they not, but you don't. Basically, you don't have to worry about tanking with the Cowboys. They suck. they go out there on the field. They gonna play and they gonna lose.
Yeah.
I forgot to look at their
and
schedule.
they're going through the gauntlet. Look, they got
Exactly.
They got the Eagles this Sunday. Then they got the Texans and then the Commanders. So that should they're going into the gauntlet right there with those three teams right there.
You don't have to worry about them tanking. Those are 3 straight L's, and then they only glimmer of hope is when they play the Giants.
Yep.
And it's usually because Dak owns the Giants. Well, hell, Dak not gonna be playing, so I don't know how they're gonna be.
Yeah,
so
it's
gonna
be tough.
That could be this time. I guess being game number 9. It could be a good thing for Dallas in a sense.
Well, that's how I look at it. I look at it like, okay, just go out there and play. I'm looking at this season, it's going to be a bad season as far as wins and losses. I'm hopeful that the brass will look at this and be like, okay, we have to make changes. Because locally, they've been playing that 12-win season here. They were trying to get fans to believe in this BS hype. Because these 12, we so close, even though they keep banging their head on the wall at the same exact point. But this season is like, it's a terrible season. And normally with the Cowboys history, if you look back, after they have these bad seasons, for whatever reason, they finally address the need appropriately. So that's what I'm looking at it. So
this year would be the culmination of Jerry Jones's ability to be a GM.
Well,
I'm hoping they end up with how many games they won? 3. If they go like 6-11,
no,
and then
worse than that.
Fumble the draft again because I don't know, what their first draft pick is. It's usually in the middle round. I think he should look at really stepping down. Just enjoy the game from the box, man. Give somebody else that control to go out and evaluate players and bring in players because he very seldom brings in free agents. Very seldom, and definitely not going to pay nobody no top dollar coming in. You're gonna have to sort of get under the Tony Romo umbrella because he ain't have no complaints when he gave Tony Romo his little money, and Tony Romo was probably the second worst quarterback in their history. But it's just my opinion about Dallas. So Jerry Jones get out of his what is it? Get out of his feelings and let somebody else take over. I think I don't know, but
It's gonna
I
be
know half
if he steps
America.
down, it's gonna be a son. If he steps down, it's gonna be a son. But one thing, because you brought up about the one thing about, and I have a feeling this is what he's gonna do in the offseason. He's gonna blame these losses. He's gonna blame on the injuries. So he's gonna be here locally. He's gonna sell the fact that we had the type of season that we had because of injuries. And said, nah, man, even when we had everybody healthy, they sucked. They couldn't stop anybody on the run game. This stuff needs to be addressed. So, that's why I say trade Parsons. Because the way you operate, since you do not participate in free agency, this is the only option we have. And if you don't trade Parsons and you give Parsons the money, then it's pretty much without a shadow of a doubt, you only looking at this team for the attention. It's not winning. Because think about it, the Jones is always sell hope to this franchise. That's why they football games is always on these big national stages that everybody can see. Normally, if you know a team is going to do a rebuild, a lot of them they get taken off the TV. They take it off. It's like, we don't want to watch you. We're not going to put you on the national stage because you rebuilding right now. It's nothing for people to really care about. So if that happens to the Cowboys, then that's Jerry don't want that. Now you're taking the attention away from him.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So are the games in Dallas, are they typically sellouts? Are they like rabid down there as far as the games, or do you can always get a ticket there? Is it?
For the most part, I don't know exactly sell, but they definitely do their share of season ticket sales. So they definitely they basically they're getting their money regardless for the ticket sales, the season ticket sales, and the media contract. So
right. But I'm just saying, but sell out
most
game.
Part, yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Gotcha.
So
all right.
Because they sell the hope. Every season every season they make you think, okay, this is going to be the year.
Right.
Well, the way this season go, people know next year, especially if they are sellers, there's really nothing to look forward to next year.
Right. But I was just curious about whether or not the venue, is it more like, because you've seen some venues like in LA and whatnot where it's like half the fans or the opposing team's fans or whatnot. You can actually hear it in the stadium. I don't know if even if they sell out, how much of that is the Cowboys fans or the visiting team fans or whatnot. I mean, the Steelers, Steelers go to the Vegas, or they go to Atlanta, whatnot. It's like you see all those terrible towels, and there's like half the crowd of Steelers fans. So I don't know if Dallas has that kind of fan base that either travels like that, or if it's a home game, it's a tough ticket to get. I was always curious, especially because the place holds 80,000 is regular, but it could be expanded to 100,000, right?
Yeah,
for Super Bowl, they could take it up to almost 100,000.
They got in trouble doing that. They did it in the Super Bowl. They got in trouble doing that.
Really? What's the story?
Well, because they was putting seats where they wasn't really.
Oh, okay. So fire has stuff like that.
So they were trying to beat a record, and I think along with the snow Mageddon, they call it up here, the ice. That's why the Super Bowl never came back to Dallas.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jerry got greedy, and they really, you would think. And Dallas they will at least seen another one since the stadium was built.
Right.
They saw one, and they haven't brought it back since.
I hear you. All right, moving on. Again, more of the NFL season. So before we get into the this here, I want to I don't know if my man in the back, if he can show, but we saw last week this run by Saquon Barkley that you couldn't even look. I go back to Coach. I played Tecmo Bowl back in the day. So if you remember, shout out to Nintendo NES and Tecmo Bowl 1, Tecmo Bowl 2 or whatever. You could do some moves in Tecmo, but my man Saquon did some stuff that I've never seen. My man did a hurdle backwards. I've never seen that in my life. So it got me thinking about the greatest runs of all time. I'm not talking about, look, anybody can split seam and take it 90 yards to the house. We've seen plenty of those. But I'm talking about guys, you do a hurdle, you do a stiff arm, you do a whatever in within the same place. So I'm also got here Marshawn Lynch he had this famous run where he broke loose and shook guys off, stiff arm and whatnot. And then when he went into the end zone, went backwards, grabbed his crotch and whatnot as he went into the end zone. So from your perspective, what is the greatest football run that you ever saw? I think the Saquon one might take the case, because like I said, that was like the Matrix right there. I had never seen anything like that. But from your memory, the greatest run from seeing it don't have to be a long one. It could be a 20-yard run. But what's just the best you've ever seen? NFL or college, I'll give you that.
That the Saquon is just nice because you saw athletic ability, but that wasn't.
He did a 360 spin.
Yeah, 360.
Then the hurdle backwards over.
And the thing about it wasn't like he was trying to show out. He was just literally playing sandlot football. He saw a defender while he was spinning, and I'm gonna jump over you backwards. It was just natural to him.
Yeah.
I think one of the runs that I saw Adrian Peterson was a beast. And I think it was
I've seen him take off. I don't like Adrian. He never did I never seen him do spin moves, or he's not jumping over people or whatever. He just once he gets in, I think people were always put off by how fast he was. They obviously he's big and bruising, but I don't think they realized how fast he was. But once he got in the open, you couldn't catch him. So I think his breakaway speed, I think that was certainly legendary. But we've had some runs. Like I said, Tony Dorsett. I remember going back. Tony Dorsett against the Vikings had that 99-yard touchdown run. But I'm talking when you bring everything into it, you do a spin, stiff arm, hurdle, all within the same run. That Saquon is definitely up there. Now I know some guys, Hank, talk about Walter Payton's run against the Saints and Bo Jackson against the Seahawks. He just went through them. That wasn't impressive. That was just power on power right there. But when you combine all those elements into it, that was shout out to Andre Terry in the house. So yeah, so we talked about your guy, certainly Saquon. I got to be. Yes, I mentioned beast mode, so I actually had the videos queued up. So I don't know if someone's in the back, we can actually see these just for comparison, just to see these videos. Yes, but I mentioned beast mode's run is definitely up there in the conversation for best runs.
It was definitely the loudest because I remember when that happened. They say that the stadium literally caused an earthquake.
Yeah,
when they got so loud. So I'm like,
yeah.
Hold up, are y'all saying? Because I'm hearing y'all mention these running backs, and y'all don't see Barry Sanders being in any of those.
No, we're talking about a run. So we're not even talking about the best. We're not talking about the best running backs. We're talking about a play from scrimmage, the best run that you ever saw. So like I said, the Saquon one I think takes the cake for me. I've never seen that done. You can rehearse that. I've seen WWE matches where they do, the hurdle stuff or whatever. I've never seen that in a live game. That was like the Matrix. So I'm saying that kind of, if you can think of one play from a player that was of that caliber, what would it be? You can go all the way back. Go back. I know Juice, OJ Simpson has some great runs and whatnot, but from your experience, what's man, that's the greatest run I ever saw.
In such a, what was it, a 17-yard play or something like that, close to that. For the distance, it was probably one of the greatest runs for the distance because it wasn't a real long breakaway run. So I can see that, but man, I don't know. I can't even identify one, but Barry Sanders has some of the best runs.
I remember some of them Thanksgiving. I think one game he had 3 touchdowns. And he was just shaking dudes out their shoes. I remember some of those runs and whatnot. It was, there was one Thanksgiving in particular. He had 3 TDs, and they were all sort of like breakaways. It wasn't None of his touchdowns came from scrimmage. He just did his shake and bake thing or whatever and just sort of took off. And they just, guys were just falling over themselves just trying to catch. So again, some very beautiful runs as well. No question about it. You could certainly throw him in there. But yeah, that I just wanted to pause and talk about that because that was definitely something that's like. And again, the Giants again still. I'm sure they're still smart that move. You should have signed. You should have signed, especially where your team is struggling right now. Now I know they've got some decent running back play out of I think number 26 for the again he cooked out Steelers pretty good for over 100 yards. But again, Saquon has definitely proven this. Look, you gonna miss me when I'm gone. And
what was the Giants picking? What number did they pick in last year's draft?
I believe
they could have got a quarterback.
No, they were top 6, right? They got the receiver.
They got a quarterback.
They got the receiver. They got the wide receiver. Yeah, who's going to be good? I'm not saying. Look, I think Neighbors. I think he's going to be good in this league. But I don't out of the top 6, really out of the top 2, because I mean. Who else went after the top 2 after Williams and Daniels went? I mean, no one else is really surprising that much. So they could be pretty much in the same situation.
It's a few quarters.
It was number 6, Neighbors. He was drafted number 6 by them.
Yeah, I'm saying, but out of the QBs, McCarthy was available. The guy from Washington was available, but none of those guys are
Penix.
like Yeah, so they're not game breakers. At this point, I mean, I think
any of those players are better than.
I think Penix probably would have been better.
Any of those players.
I don't know. And Penix, he had his own injury. He had his own injury history as well. I don't know if that could have worked out either. I mean, he's backing up.
Yeah, he actually got picked 2 picks later. 2 picks, number 8. So
yeah.
But Brother Bennett, a good running back hides a lot of the quarterback's flaws.
That's true. Which is again one of the reasons why they should have kept Saquon. I'm not disagreeing with you.
He's proven that he's not that guy. He's no better than old boy from for LA for the Raiders. They're about the same level to me.
Yeah.
And he's proven it. So I would have kept Saquon, got me a quarterback rookie in the draft, handed off to Saquon, throw little dinks and dunks. Probably still could have got a receiver. They could have did a lot, but they just dropped the ball.
I hear you. Want to move on to the Monday
I want
night
to
game.
bring up. Since
go ahead.
y'all bring up the comparisons. Did y'all? Well, it was on Halloween night. The Texans Jets game. Did y'all watch that game?
I did. I watched most of the second half.
You saw the catch by Garrett Wilson.
Very nice catch.
People, he actually did the
one-handed.
He actually did the Jordan logo catch.
Yeah.
So people was comparing that. Which one you thought was a better catch between Wilson's or Odell's when he did that catch versus the Cowboys? Me personally, I thought Odell was better because remember he was actually fighting a pass interference call when he caught that ball with his fingertips and landed in the end zone. Now, Wilson's was because Odell the other hand never touched the ball with Odell.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson eventually brought it to his left hand, but he also had to make sure, which I don't know how they thought this was.
He got both feet down. He got
that shin. I'm like, how did this? To me, it looked at the shin and the knee touched at the same time.
Man,
I don't know. That's a different story.
I'm saying that could be tossed up. I mean, I think a lot of people see Odell's because that was like the first time you saw something like that, and then there were like several wide receivers who had the same catch. It's almost like these guys are in practicing the Odell catch. You might as well name it after him. So you could say Odell since he was like the pioneer, so to speak. But I would say Wilson's catch was probably as good. Again, especially the fact that he had to get both feet down, or get, again, the 1 foot and the shin down. To make that and it was a huge play in the game. Now again, I don't remember the score of that Giants game with Odell, but again, that was pivotal for the Jets. So I think they really need to get that score to go ahead and try to ice the game. So I would, but yeah, I can certainly see. I know Poppy. Shout out to Poppy. Hola, Poppy. He says the Odell catch was better. It wasn't even close.
Well, he buys. It was straight
absolutely.
Giants. He buys.
So absolutely, absolutely. But that's a good one. We may need to do another round of this. Greatest catches, comparing the catches or the runs, and so definitely. Some guys, again, the athletes. Look, I grew up in the days you had Lynn Swan and those guys making them fingertip catches, but these guys are taking it to another level right
Yeah,
now.
that catch by Lynn Swan when the ball was literally going out of bounds. I still don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
how he
he
caught
was
that
out of
ball.
bounds. He was out of bounds when he caught it, and then somehow floated back in bounds
I
and got
still
both
don't know
feet
how
down
he
before.
did that, man. I was like, what the? You watch the replay, people be still trying to, make fun of these old school replays. I still watch it. I'm like,
Yeah,
how the hell this dude come back?
yeah.
You
He was
talking
one
about
of the
sideline control, man.
yeah. He was one of those guys. Hey, that dance background said it helped him out. Took ballet, all that kind of stuff, and so.
I was like, damn.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I want to talk about again the game on Monday night. So again, you had Kansas, and still there's one. So Kansas City still undefeated, goes 9-0. They get Hopkins has two TDs in his debut. So again, it's like that's why again I'm not picking against Kansas City. I'll say it again. I think they're going to three-peat, and I think certainly Mahomes goes into the GOAT conversation if he does three-peat. But what I really want to talk about again, obviously, it seemed like they had control of the game all the way through. But again, Tampa gets a late touchdown. You're talking 20 seconds left in the game, and they make a decision to kick and go for overtime. But in that situation, you're away. Plus, also your season, you lost like 2 or 3 in a row. You're trying to get some momentum back or whatnot. Would you have gone for the 2-point conversion and test Mahomes with, again, I think Kansas City had 2 timeouts. It would have been like 15 seconds left. Do you give Mahomes the ball with that, knowing he can get a field goal out of that, or do you play for overtime? And obviously we know what happened in overtime, whatnot. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm going for 2 because, again, one thing Mahomes is consistently doing, he doesn't have to have the best game, but when you need him to be GOAT, he has a switch that turns it on. He did in the Super Bowl last year. It's like as soon as they got the ball, it's like you almost know the game. It's almost like to the point where I know they've changed the overtime rules over time, where they say each team is supposed to get a possession and accept it's a touchdown. I'm almost thinking they may need to change that up because it's like if Mahomes gets the ball, it's over. So I think each team should get at least 1 possession, even whether you get a touchdown or not. At least that's just me, or at least have it for the playoffs. But I just think it's still a bit unsatisfying knowing that, okay, Mahomes gets it. It's like you can just write the game off. So again, what did you think of the play or the decision, and what would you think about, again, changing the overtime rules once again, that each team gets a possession regardless of whether you score or not?
The play, I would have went for 2, knowing that I'm in Kansas City. It would have been. I think they need to go back to the sudden death rule. It's the NFL. It's supposed to be the best players in the league. That's why I look at it. The new rule, again, this is for the fans. It's for the people who like to eat the popcorn at the game. I understand. But I don't, went for 2. The rule should go back. I like the sudden death because this was just basically sudden death without sudden death. They never touched the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've always liked that rule. And what was the third one?
No, that was it. So again, the first one was, so you said yes, they should have went for 2, which I agree with. But as far as the current overtime rule, so it's like the current rule is each team gets a possession. If you get a field goal, the other team still gets a chance to possess the ball to possibly tie it or go in or win it. But if you get a touchdown on that opening that first time, so whoever wins the coin toss and you get the ball, you don't get a chance to win it. Before, it used to be whoever won a coin toss, even if you got a field goal, you won the game. So they've enhanced it to say, okay, well, if you get a touchdown, but I'm saying with some of these guys like a Mahomes or whatnot, even is that enough? Do we still need to have it where each team is guaranteed, regardless of the outcome, guaranteed to have it unless you get a turnover? So if you get picked off and the other team goes down and gets a field goal or whatever, I could buy that. But just to have it where you just give it to him and he just does what he does, in crunch time. Again, he's making a case for himself that he's certainly the best. One of the, if not the one of the two best in my lifetime that I've seen. I've seen Montana, I've seen Brady, and obviously I'm seeing him. He's making a case that he's up in there. Forget Breeze and some of these other Peyton Manning and whatnot. Not even close to this guy. So Shawnee, so what would you the play, and then your thoughts on overtime? Do you like it as is? Would you change it? How would you handle that?
Me, I don't mind the play. Me personally, I probably would have gone for overtime. You know, because I guess so much time, especially recently, you see teams go for two because they're trying to go for the win, and then they don't get it. And then folks gonna be talking about that. So it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
And I just heard a stat also that I think 2-point conversion average this year is 31% on average. But again, that scenario though, I don't know if that makes a difference, but I know people like to bring up those kind of metrics.
Well, I think a lot of those numbers also contribute to teams just taking too much 2-point conversions when they don't have to.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, that's how the Cowboys lost against the Ravens. They would have settled for a field goal a couple of times. They probably would have tied that game. But so I think the Eagles this past game versus the Jaguars almost got themselves killed by that going for two when they shouldn't have been. I think for 2 or 3 times in a row. That's how the Jaguars almost came back to beat them. So,
right.
But as far as this game, yeah, I don't have no problem with them going for overtime. But I don't know if y'all caught it because you was just talking about, basically if you changing the rules for overtime, you basically changing it because Mahomes has been so successful. You basically changing the rules currently for one player, even though
that's happened.
The current rules right now was really changed because of Josh Allen. That whole game versus the when he went balling, and all of a sudden his team just lost the game in 13 seconds, and then they end up losing in overtime. That was the game after that was what made the rules because he never got a chance to. He never touched the ball, even though he was balling that game. So
right, but you've had rule changes for players, right? I mean, you've had the Mel Blount rule, right, where you can't chuck past 5 yards. You've had in golf, you've had the Tiger. They had the Tiger proof the courses and whatnot. I mean, so you've had players who've had that kind of impact on the game. And
Brady, but that was like more of a with the Brady rule as far as not hitting him in the knees, as trying to for penalties and stuff. I can't remember the last time.
No, you're talking about the Tuck. No, you're talking about the Tuck rule, right?
Rule,
yeah.
And those are like more related to. Well, I guess that can consider because this one is like a whole segment of the game. Like the whole overtime rules was changed because Josh Allen didn't get the ball in a critical playoff game after he was playing so well. That's what sparked this change. So if they ultimately change to have both teams, no matter if you score a field goal or the first team score a touchdown, it's going to be because you basically, you punishing one player because he's been successful. He's been playing the rules that have been given to him, but now you want to give everybody else a chance because this dude's so good.
But you just saw he won a Super Bowl doing the same thing, and he, like I said, he just won this game to go 9-0. So it is happening at least with him with some regularity. That's like you saw the air come out the. I think even Aikman, he was like, "Oh, they got it." It was like you almost heard it.
With Aikman, you saw it with Baker Mayfield at the cornfield. Yeah, right. As soon as he saw the call was wrong, he knew right there. He's like, "I ain't getting the ball. I'm not getting the ball."
Yeah. So I mean, these guys got to eat too. So I'm just saying. And what I mean, the fans aren't going anywhere. I mean, I know you got local, you got Sports Center or whatever's coming up or whatever. But I'm just saying, to give these guys a chance to touch the ball is I just think that's fair. I mean, it's at least and especially in the playoffs. I mean, if they want to make that rule change
in the playoffs, it's almost like baseball when they had their extra innings. You put a dude on second. That's only for the regular season and the postseason. Oh, it's going back to original rules. Nobody on the bases. So in the playoffs, I can see that. Maybe the NFL committee, the rules committee I could see that both teams should be able to touch the ball, and then if they score, no matter how it comes, you still get one shot. Now, like I say, if it's a turnover,
Well, like I said, the only thing, turnover, or if you
yeah,
do a pick six or whatever, then the game's over. I
yeah,
got no issue with
you
that.
had your chance, you blew it,
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
don't get another chance.
yeah.
But also, I'm happy for DeAndre Hopkins. He's probably been one of my favorite receivers in the league since he's been in the league. He finally playing with. Now he could have had a chance when he left the Texans, but he wanted the money, so you can't blame him for that. When he went to the Titans, he wanted the money, but now he finally has a chance to play with a legit contender quarterback, and you don't him and it don't take him long because that dude's catching radius is insane.
Yeah.
And then I tell people, if the only way, if you're gonna have to physically not enable the ball to touch his hands. If the ball touches his hands, it's caught. It just he's caught. I remember he went through a whole season not even dropping a pass.
Yeah.
So it's that he's in that Larry Fitzgerald thing. Like if he drops a pass, I remember it's gonna be on Sports Center
Right.
because he don't drop passes.
Right.
So I'm happy for him. Dudes were like 34, 35. But you can see now he got a pep in his step now because he's on the actual contending team.
Absolutely.
So,
and you're going to our, obviously the best quarterback in the NFL. So who wouldn't want that? I would take league minimum to do that because I'm sure he's made a lot of money in his career. All he's missing is the Super Bowl. So again, you add that weapon to it, and
he's 32.
So he's still in his prime. Still in his prime. And yeah. Go ahead, Chuck.
The good thing about him going to any let's say any number one receiver for any team goes to Kansas City, it's the perfect setup, perfect situation. You don't have to be the number one guy.
Nope.
You just fall in and what did he get? 30 plays or so, a touchdown, a couple of
two touchdowns. Yeah, 2 touchdowns in that game.
You know what I'm saying? So Kansas City's a juggernaut, man. But again, with the play calling of Andy Reid and the instincts of someone like Patrick Mahomes, you're in a win-win situation. Like I said, yesterday, man. Most players that play baseball and football, they do well. Most do well in the NFL anyway. Everyone that played baseball in college and went to the NFL, most do well. Not all. We say Jameis Winston, okay, but Jameis Winston is colorblind, so you can't be
a turnover machine, man. I think he got his eyes fixed though, right? I thought he got the laser surgery or something like that, and he's
colorblind. It didn't help. It didn't help. He's colorblind. So,
but you know what the Hopkins did? He actually addressed a need for KC because they lost Rasheed Rice, but remember last year they was plagued with drops. So they find that we need somebody who can be reliable, and they able to make a trade and probably get the most reliable hand still in football. So I still don't really know how they was able to pull that off, but that it goes not to really go back on it, but it just basically shows again with the Cowboys they lack of movement. Teams, if they have the Chiefs, the Ravens, they generally do this. If they have a position of need, they're gonna fill it appropriately for their quarterback. If they believe they have their franchise quarterback, you see the Baltimore for the longest, everybody kept saying they need a receiver, and they was giving him receivers, they just wasn't panning out. Now all of a sudden they need a running back. Well, Derrick Henry was available, even though he could have went to the Cowboys, they dropped that. As soon as he went to the Cowboys, they scooped him up quick. What you need? Okay, here you go. Get back in that backfield with Lamar. But they addressed that need. Same thing with the Chiefs. There's a reason why these teams keep winning. They see a need, they address it. Cowboys, they don't do it, and they wonder why they're in the same boat.
Yeah. It's top to bottom. They're certainly a very well-run organization. And again, you go there. I mean, again, I could definitely see guys taking less to go there. I think that's certainly an advantage that they would have in terms of getting these players to show up there. But we're coming up towards the end of the show, so just one key matchup I want to highlight for this upcoming week. So you have the Steelers coming off their bye week, going to Washington to play the Commanders. So again, we all know that Jaden Daniels is balling out. I mean, he could, certainly leading candidate for Rookie of the Year. Steelers, this will be the third game with Russ at QB, and again, it was a certainly gutsy move by Tomlin. Certainly, Justin Fields got them to 4-2, but Tomlin, he said, "I'm not, Justin's been good, but I'm looking for great." He goes to the vet, and I think you've already seen certainly the impact that Russell Wilson's had. Certainly getting the ball to more players. You see the touch with which he can throw the ball and allow his receivers to make plays. And now they just got Mike Williams, certainly from the Jets, 6'4", had a couple 1,000-yard seasons with the Chargers. So again, having him on the other side of Pickens, who's also 6'4", and then they shored up their defense, getting Preston Smith from the Packers. So they got another edge rusher. So definitely they seem to be hunkering down. They go into the gauntlet of their schedule. All of their AFC North opponents are they're going to play in the second half of the season, and obviously Baltimore, they're looking good. Then they're playing Cincinnati. I'm think that might be certainly a very competitive game. I know since he's had his problems, but Burrow was playing very well, and certainly he'll score for sure. So definitely I got my eyes on those two games. But any thoughts on those matchups? With again Wilson versus Daniels. I mean, what do you guys what are you guys seeing there, or is there another matchup on the schedule that you want to highlight?
Well, that Steelers Commanders game is going to be a good game. I think the Steelers, especially the defensive line, they gonna make Daniels work.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna definitely make him work and earn his keep. The offense is starting to, because right now, pretty much, I think Pittsburgh has to come in that game thinking they're going to have to score over 30 to win.
Right.
Right now, what we're seeing with Washington, they can put some points on the board.
True.
Hell, even if it's a miracle Hail Mary, they still going to find a way to put points on the board. So I think Pittsburgh, I'm like, okay, you can have the utmost confidence in your defense, but that offense going to have to put, if they don't put at least 30 on the board, they may have a strong chance of losing that game.
Yeah.
But I think the other matchup, what was that one you brought up?
So you got the Ravens and the Bengals. Yeah, so again, Ravens are I think at 5-4. The Bengals at 5-4, Ravens at 7-2. So this is, I think, 6-3. So again, so the Ravens, this is their season. I mean, the Bengals, this could potentially be their season. They're trying to get back into this thing, so they have to at least keep par with the Ravens. So a big game for them, and so this could certainly be something that can determine a lot. And obviously, I'm sure the Steelers would certainly like the Bengals to beat the Ravens to kind of get keep the edge off. But how do you see either one of those games, Coach? What's your thoughts on either one of those matchups?
Where does Washington play Pittsburgh?
In Washington.
I can see that being a fairly highly scoring game. The key to both teams is going to be the run. It's going to be the run. Najee Harris is coming on. It seems like he comes into camp out of shape to me. It just seems that way. I don't know, but he picks it up.
I don't think it's so much the shape. I think it's the line. The last couple of years, your line has been decimaid, though. It's been plug and play until they found that matchup.
He doesn't hit the hole fast enough to me. He's sort of, he's thinking he's in college. In the NFL, you got to be a little bit more, a little quicker. But I think he's coming along and he's giving them balance that they need. I think the fact that they can bring the balance. I think that Hail Mary last week for Washington propels them for the rest of the season. I think that gives them the motivation to – I see them losing no more than 2 games the rest of the season just because, the quarterback is playing at an elite level. He's making the right play. He's running when he needs to. So I see them finishing out no more than 2 losses, definitely winning the conference. Pittsburgh, they got the best of both worlds right now. So regardless of what they do the rest of the season, it's almost like they had a successful season. What was the other game?
Cincinnati going to Baltimore. So again, Cincinnati at 5-4, 5-4, and then Baltimore is at 6-3. So
I think
definitely
Derrick Henry is going to be too much. He's going to be too much. He's going to continue to put up the numbers he's putting up because, again, Lamar's definitely gotten better at passing. They're running the ball a lot more consistent now. They stick to that formula and everybody stays healthy. And I think they picked up somebody too.
Well, they picked up Deontay Johnson, former Steelers quarterback, went to the Panthers. Now he's with them, but they also picked up I think they picked up a defensive, another defensive back, I believe.
Yeah.
In a so
they made the right moves. It's going to be interesting to see, man. It's still, like I said, still got a lot of football. Now we're getting into the fall football. It's where the real football teams show up. So y'all players y'all fans that cheer for y'all team when they winning, just remember it gets cold this time of the year. So don't be whining over the next couple of weeks about your team done went on a 3-game losing streak. So
yeah, Tre'Davious White they got from the Rams.
Oh, okay.
At defensive back. So
both of these games, it's a battle of matchups. I know we're about to head out real quick, but basically Steelers has a top 10 rushing game. Washington is a bottom 3 rushing defense. So if they just play that, it could be a long day for Washington. And then in the other game, Cincinnati is a top 10, top 5 passing team. Baltimore is, I think, the worst passing defense in the league. So it's basically, if you can exploit this hellified weakness that the opponent has, it could be a long game. Now, Baltimore, they probably gonna have to run the ball a lot, just literally play keep away from Cincy, because that you playing into their strength if they gonna pass that ball, because Jamar Chase probably gonna eat that secondary alive. And then in the other game, basically, Washington will have to put stress on scoring, because Pittsburgh can slow that game down and be like, "Look, we just gonna out physical you. We just gonna beat you in the line of scrimmage. We ain't gonna get fancy with you because we know you can't handle it right now."
Plus, that defense is top 10. So I mean, they're definitely going to be in there. T.J. Watt and Highsmith, so they're going to be there. So
they may make Washington one-dimensional, and then that's going to give the Steelers defensive line just room just to, okay, we know what you're going to do. But we know on our side, we're going to eat the clock with our running game.
Right.
You can't stop that. And then we're going to put you in a position where you have to score when you get the ball, but you don't know the next time you're going to get the ball.
That's true. Very true.
So,
very true.
It's going to be matchups, on this game.
So again, I'm picking those. Again, those are my top games of the week. I know Detroit, they have a game coming up, I think, against
Houston. That's Houston. Also, but
if Houston would have beat the Jets, I would have been like, So I don't know. Houston's kind of inconsistent to me at this point.
Well,
they lost
that offensive line. They offensive line is terrible.
Plus, they lost to the Colts, I think. Who they lose to? Or Denver?
They beat Houston lost against Green Bay, Jets, and the Vikings. Those are 3 losses.
Okay. And the Vikings, they've come back down to earth a little bit as well.
That's why Stroud it's literally not Stroud. People talking about his numbers.
Right.
He got sacked 8 times versus the Jets.
Gotcha.
He got pressured 19. He can't do nothing back there.
Right. So definitely looking forward to these games. I'll definitely be having my eye on Colorado. Again, I think they have a good chance of certainly run the table. And like I said, if they can make some noise, get maybe around 14, 15 rank or whatever, and then do some things, who knows? Because again, these guys want ratings also. So if you can justify putting Colorado into that mix, getting them into a major bowl, certainly I think they'll have some eyes on, as well as keep an eye on the Heisman race as well. But with that, again, we come to the end of the show. So I definitely want to thank, as always, Brother Shawnee, Coach, for being on here. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we close out the show, Shawnee?
No, look, we already in overtime in our time work. So,
I heard.
I'm good.
I heard. Coach, real quick, anything you got?
No, man, great show, man. Listen, man, football's fall football, man. Everybody, man. Again, don't be throwing your TV into the wall and messing up. It's going to be a different season coming up. So don't give up. salute to the second half of the NFL, man. So everybody on Thanksgiving, get your ass outside and play some football.
Heard that. And before I go, I just want to make a special this announcement. We lost, again, if you've been on the BMU Network on any of his shows, either the Barbershop or the Tuesday night Talk Tuesday or Flipping Tables, we had his brother Clarence, who would oftentimes be on our show with us, and just heard the news that he had passed recently. Again, guy, Gen X, guy in our age bracket. Yeah.
You talking about Bro Clarence that was doing his show?
Yeah.
Damn, man, I'm sorry to hear that, man. For
real. So again, just a reminder to, again, the brothers, again, take care of your health. Certainly prayers to him, his family. And but brothers, please take care of yourselves. If you're Gen X, or 50 plus or whatever, do what you need to do to stay healthy, and take care of yourself, because again, we need you out here. So just again, just rest in peace to him, rest in power, and but for everyone else, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you certainly in these streets again. We got another show coming up on the BMU Network after this, but Boss Man typically comes up. So again, looking forward to more content from the channel. So again, make sure you hit the like button certainly before you leave. And until we meet again, you guys take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.
All right, peace.
Going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Need a yeehaw, you know how ye. Here for one night and we just wanna party. In a fast car, a Ferrari. It's a push start, I don't need a car key. Slide on Broadway, and it's gnarly. On a late night, but I'm not tardy. Right on time for the parties and Barbies. Strolling with a truck of green like a golf swing. Hey, 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 hey. Bottles on ice, mess around these skates. Hey, hey, hey. If I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Come and kiss me up, it's going down. Like a train with no brakes, I'm not slowing down. See us showing up, we're showing out. Better pack it in till they kick us out. I'm no nailing them, I'm a lunatic. It's no telling when I get loose a bit. Got my baby, my book.